Hi, and welcome to Carolina Varsity's 2013 week, was that 14?
It's third round.
Second round for the players of the week.
We're just all rusty today.
Exactly. I'm Dale Ross.
And I'm the pimp man, Matt Morrow.
And we are going to leave all that in. Matt, I attended the Rocky River Porter Ridge game, so I got a couple of players from that game. I have no stats, but both players have been mentioned before. He played, of course, he plays everywhere on the field, offense, defense, returns kicks. He had a big ball game, including a very important interception to help kind of secure that win with over Porter Ridge Friday night. So I thought he played a very good ball game. In my opinion, might be their best all-around athlete on the team. And of course, Jett. Elijah had a couple of touchdowns, including one of the best runs I've seen from a running back in a long time. So I put a link to the huddle highlights from that game up on the site. If you people get a chance, you should go take a look at it. It's the last one in the Porter Ridge highlights. It's the last run. It's a fantastic run. So both those kids played a real good ball game, as well as many other players that kind of stepped up in a big moment to help win that ball game.
Good job to those. All right, now I attended the Butler Independence game downtown at Memorial Stadium, and Butler won that one 46-39, a crazy offensive game, so we got some good numbers here from these guys. I got 3 Butler guys and 1 guy from Independence. The first guy's quarterback AnthonyRatliff. I think he controlled the play all night long. He had several great runs for first downs and had some nice throws as well that his receivers actually made some nice plays on. But, Independence had trouble tackling him in space, and he just made play after play.
He runs that. He was my pick as well, although I didn't attend the game. He runs that read option, I think, very well.
Yes.
It's kind of hard with a player like him, with his feet and his ability to throw the ball. The only stat I've got for him from the game is he had 136 yards rushing and 1 TD. Apparently the Observer did not have any information on his passing yards, but my guess would be he probably had several hundred.
He had a good passing game. I wouldn't say it may be 150 to 200 yards passing. The big thing with them is they ran the ball really well on Independence, and the next guy, Bennie Lemay, was a big part of that.
Right. 4
rushing touchdowns, ran hard, he even ran over a couple of Independence players at times, and I tell you, that set the tone. And he kept getting those tough inside yards on that read option, 6-7 yards a pop. Sometimes would break one for 10, 15. And you got his numbers.
Yeah, he had 19 carries for 122 yards. So they ran him a lot. That's 19 carries is a good number of carries.
Yeah. And him and I'll mention Pinckney. He didn't play as much because they went to more of a one-back and even went empty sometimes. But Pinckney, had a really nice run early on in the game as well. So when you got those 2 guys back there with Ratliff, that's real tough. And we'll talk more about them going forward. Jalen Cousar, I now have learned how to say your name.
Okay.
I've been calling him Cousar.
Yeah.
And that wasn't right.
Cousar, got to get that ingrained in our head.
He had a real great pass rush. I know 1 sack on Hopkins he had towards the end of the game was a really big play. They even put him at fullback in a power set down the goal line. He led the way on 2 of Lemay's touchdowns, and even at the end of the game recovered an onside kick.
Awesome.
So a man of all trades and a very talented young man at that. My 1 guy for Independence, Kelvin Hopkins, the quarterback, he was a real easy choice. I think the receivers played really well. He was the guy getting them the ball. He was the leading rusher. Most of you guys know Isaiah Robinson was hampered with a lower leg injury. He did play in short yardage situations and scored twice, but his backup A.J. Peel didn't play that much. Independence was really putting them 4 or 5 receivers on the field a lot. And Hopkins would run a lot of quarterback type stuff from empty or 4 wide. And he was throwing it all over the place. He has numbers.
Yeah, his total offense, he had 455 yards. 23 of 34 for 335 yards and 3 TDs. That's a good night of passing.
Yes, it is.
And 120 yards rushing and 1 TD. So 4 TDs, as I think you mentioned, he's accountable for. That's a real good ball game.
He put this team on his back, and without him, this game was not even close at all.
Right.
So hats off to Mr. Hopkins, and he had a really good season.
I agree. Those are great numbers, and sounds like you played big in a big game. Just came up a little short.
Yeah.
So congratulations. My next pick is I got to reading and looking, and this kid is like the number 3 running back for South Point, Jaden King. And I don't have his number of touchdowns he had, but he had 15 carries and 193 yards.
It's pretty good for the number 3 guy.
The number 3 guy. So apparently Tyler Bray is out with injury. I forget the next back, but I read in Anthony's article he had a virus, so he didn't play.
Right.
And so Jaden King played. And I think you've got a kid from that game as well.
Yeah, Tanner Muse, and I hope I'm saying that right. This kid had a 32-yard interception return for a touchdown and a 44-yard TD run in that game. And when a kid does something on both sides of the ball, I think he deserves some recognition.
Sure.
And they won over Burns in a game that I thought would be a lot closer. 51-14.
Yeah, that was a big win for South Point, not just in numbers, but that's kind of a rival team as well.
Exactly.
Only had one nomination from the Mooresville game, believe it or not, and that was for Southeast Guilford defensive back, Ronnie Robinson. He had 2 interceptions, and they said including a 28-yard pick 6 in the 4th, they gave him a 22-7 lead. And of course, Mooresville fought back, was not able to come back and win the ball game, so that was apparently I'd say that would be a real big play in that ball game in the 4th to give them enough of a gap to hold on and win and let them move forward to face that red machine, Charlotte Catholic. So, Ronnie, that's if you see this, congratulations. We don't get many defensive players, and I'm glad to call you guys out when we get them.
Good job, Ronnie, and good luck this week. We'll be talking about it here shortly.
Yeah.
My next guy is a guy that we've talked about all year long, and this kid has had a real special career, and it came to an end Friday night. But he had a game that he's gonna remember for a long time when he moves on, and that's Will Grier, Davidson Day. I tell you, this is the state championship game for them, and whether you say they don't play real competition or whatever, this is hard to do. You go out there and you throw for 592 yards and 6 touchdowns. I mean, think about that. There are kids that don't throw for 600 yards all season, and this guy did it in one game.
We're going to talk about a couple of those teams when we talk about the playoffs.
Exactly.
That are in at 500 and 600 yards for the entire season.
Right.
Exactly.
And he did that in a 69-29 championship win over Harold's Christian, who is not a bad team in their own right. But, hats off to Will Grier, and he's the best quarterback around in the state of North Carolina, possibly the state of South Carolina, though Mason Rudolph will have something to say about that. But, enjoy your career at Florida. We'll be watching and supporting you, and it's been a pleasure watching you and covering you all these years.
Well, congratulations. That is a big game, big numbers in a big game. Okay, so next, I know we have some duplicates, and I'm trying not to hit a duplicate, and we are running low. But I'm gonna call out next Moe Neal from Forestview again. We called him out last week, and Forestview had a big game against Freedom this past week, and that was a game that Forestview was going to have to play their best ball game or play a very good ball game to have a shot at winning, and they did. And Moe Neal had 134 yards and 3 TDs in that game. And Jeff mentioned again that he felt like Moe Neal put the team on his back and carried them to victory. So, he's carried Forestview into the third round now. So, congratulations for another very good ball game, Mo.
Very talented team out there in Forestview.
Yep.
That's going to be a fun game to watch.
Logan Bradley's back, so and maybe a little healthier.
My next guy, Reid at Concord, has been a frequent visitor to our Players of the Week segment. 221 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 21-14 win over Piedmont in a game that is a lot closer than people expected it to be. But, Concord got up 21-0 based on Reid's performance here. And as usual, he's the rock that Concord leans on all season long.
Okay. The next one I'm going to throw out is Emmanuel Moseley. And he was, or Moseley, that's probably, I'm not sure, Moseley, that might be Moseley. Moseley. He's a quarterback for Dudley. And he was nominated. We had a new poster show up on the site this week. I'm assuming a Dudley supporter. And he nominated him, and wow, he had a pretty good ball game. 338 total yards and 7 total TDs. So I'm assuming that's passing and rushing. I didn't get any more stats than that. That's real good. 7 TD accountability. That's right up there with I think we've had 8, right?
I think we have.
I think we've had 8, but Emmanuel, that's a real good ball game, and you guys are playing great football up there in Greensboro.
Yes.
One of the favored teams in 4A. You got a team coming up to play you this week that is kind of a, not going to say Cinderella, but they're on their deepest run in the playoffs in their short history. So I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to play a real big ball game this Friday night. Yes, congratulations.
Sir. Good job, Emmanuel. My next guy is a kicker, Thomas Blakey, AC Reynolds. And this is a heck of a game. He had a game-winning field goal in the third overtime to give him a 52-49 win over Statesville. And I'll tell you, man, I picked against AC Reynolds 2 weeks in a row. And they keep winning, so they're probably wanting me to pick against them this week when they go play Crest. But that's a heck of a game, and that's a lot of pressure. Obviously, in the third overtime in the playoffs to come through like that, that's a great job of Mr. Blakey and the Rockets.
Exactly. So the next player is, I'm just looking at our nominations, and so the next player is going to be Elijah Hood, a Catholic. Naturally. Of course, we get a nomination every week from Ladge, and it seems like every week he throws out Catholic. It'd be great if you threw another Catholic person out. But Elijah had a really good ball game. 33 carries, 308 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And that was in their win over High Point Central.
Yeah. I heard that was a very emotional game, and I'll save that for later.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Jalen's a player that I'm honored to nominate any week. He's one of the few players I've seen that could play, I think, at least 4, maybe 5 positions at Division I football. Strong safety, linebacker, wide receiver, slot back, and running back. I think he could play all those positions at a Division I school. So it's going to be interesting to see where he plays next season. I think what I've heard, they're going to use him kind of like Mallard Creek's using him right now.
Oh, good.
He's a great ball player. You're a fantastic athlete. From that game, I've got nominations for Providence, and Providence played, and I knew this game would have potential to be a tough game for Mallard Creek. Okay. Not a game that Providence was going to win. I thought there would be. Mallard Creek was going to have to make mistakes, and they apparently did not. They, from what I read on the site, they felt like Mallard Creek played a very complete game in all phases of the ball game, and still Providence held it to 15 points. And a lot of it was on the back of these players that were nominated. Bentley Spain, we've not mentioned you all year, but you are a fantastic offensive lineman and defensive guy when they put you in there.
Right.
Austin Proehl's been mentioned many times. Apparently they finally opened up and threw the ball. And threw the ball to him a lot. I think, was it 19 times? I didn't write it down. I'm having to remember, but I think they threw it to him 19 times.
He had 11 catches.
He caught like 11 of them, yeah. So that's the most that they've thrown at him all year. Mm-hmm. You know, two more players that have been mentioned, you know, many times before. Brian Mattar, I know you've had him a couple of times.
Very athletic kid.
Exactly.
Yes, he's a good player.
And Caleb York, who you Mallard Creek people got to see what we said. He's not Josh Stilley, you know, a little bit bigger version of it. He's I'm not going to say unique, but he's his own kind of athlete.
My next guy is an individual who had a really special kind of game, and Kerrion Moore at Hunter Huss. These guys are having a great run through the playoffs also. 339 yards of rushing, which is a school record, and 4 touchdowns and a 34-28 win over Bunker Hill. And you know, we talked about star players stepping up in the playoffs, and for Hunter Huss, everyone knows Kerrion Moore is the guy you got to stop.
Right. And
when you know you're like a one-man band, and you can go out and have that kind of performance like that, that says a lot about, you know, how special of a player you are. So hats off to him and the Huskies for getting that done.
I think that's third, fourth time we've had him this year. He is a great ball player.
Yeah, exactly. And the last guy that I have is another kicker, Kyle Dix at South Point. He had 3 field goals, including what we call the game winner, in a 30-27 win over Goose Creek. And that win snaps Goose Creek's 38-game win streak overall.
Yeah.
So that is a huge, huge deal for South Point to go down there near Charleston.
Yes.
And get that done. And next week they're going back down that way, and they're going to play Stratford. And you know, this team, you know, it's ever since that little thing they had mid-season, they've come together, and they're getting hot at the right time.
I'll just say, my son coached at Goose Creek for a year, and that's a fantastic program. Just solid, top-notch, you know, top to bottom, and to be able to go down there and pull a win off and kick a big field goal.
Right.
You know, people, and you just don't understand the environment that we're talking about. There's nothing like it that we see in North Carolina. The environment's just totally different. It's a fantastic environment, and to be able to make that kind of play, I think that speaks volumes for the kid.
Congratulations to Coach Heron and the Stallions for getting that done.
Exactly. I'm just going to add something about York where he called in. And the Mallard Creek people got to see that Caleb York is not a Josh Stilley. A little bit taller version. I can't say he's a unique player, but he is kind of a special player that, you know, we don't get to see a lot of in high school. Smart kid, makes good decisions, good runner, good hard runner. I think he's a fantastic ball player, and he gets nominated one more time. Season's over, but
I'm looking forward to seeing him next year. I think he's going to be kind of under the radar, but I think that kid can do some special things with Coach Harden in that offense.
Well, congratulations to all you guys.
Coming to ya on a dusty road. Good loving, I got a truckload.